This is SOUQ Business Landscape.
Now, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has projected a 3.1% growth in the country's manufacturing output for 2026, up from 1.6% in the second quarter of 2025. The anticipated growth is tied to upcoming tax incentives, levy harmonization under the new tax regime effective January 2026, and increased government patronage. Now, according to MAN's October 2025 Manufacturers CEO Confidence Index, this growth could raise the sector's contribution to Nigeria's real gross domestic product to 10.2% next year. Dr. Olusegun Oshidikpe, director of MAN's Research and Economic Policy Division, said the projection rests on the successful execution of reforms, including the National Single Window Project and the proper implementation of Nigeria's industrial and Nigeria First policy frameworks. He emphasized that the sector's recovery will hinge on policy consistency and improved operations to restore investor confidence in enhanced competitiveness. I'm glad this is coming from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. They seem to be concerned about what is going on in Nigeria. And I like he made mention of that Nigerian First policy, that for this to be successful, we need to push this agenda to Nigerians, starting from the people at the top, the people in government. What's your thoughts?
Well, first of all, we know that a stronger manufacturing sector in any country is going to boost and promote industrialization.
Definitely.
Not only boost and promote industrialization, it's also going to make sure that things are cheap to purchase. The Nigerian First policy idea by the government, it's a very good one, but we need to go beyond making good policies. We need to translate such policies into the kind of policy that will become, substantial, where it can be the aftermath or the intention, the aim of that policy will be, felt and seen in no time in the lives of the people for which, or the purpose for which that policy was made. The same man that came out that is telling us that at the moment, economic policy, man projects 3.1 output growth in 2026.
Yes.
The same man was sometime last week, raising the alarm that governments are not purchasing most of the products that were produced by lots of MAN members. That's Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, lots of their members, that their warehouses are full. And that government is not patronizing these locally produced goods. And the reason why they were more specific in mentioning government was that government represents the big buyer of these goods.
Yes.
And if that is the case, that means the Nigerian First policy, and one of the first, Nigerian First policy that made the Bureau of Public Procurement to say that except some of these goods, that any ministry, department, or agency that wants to purchase, to buy some of these goods for the purpose of executing MDA projects in the country must first of all look inwards. And to that effect, the names of the companies that have the wherewithal to have those goods, it would have been put together in a database, and the list would have been, captured and collected, so that these MDAs will have to go through them to see those who are producing what, and to be able to buy it for the purpose of executing the government budget projects. And it is on the condition that none of these raw materials or semi-finished goods or appliances that the MDAs wants to buy for the purpose of executing their projects are not in any of these lists of organizations that have the capacity to produce it in Nigeria or access them here in Nigeria. On the case that none of them has it, that's when these MDAs can start sourcing for these things outside the country. And we need to stick to that. But if MAN came out last week to say, look, our warehouses are full, we are not being patronized, Nigerians are not patronizing us, and the government itself is not showing an example of patronizing us, then it calls for. So I'm wondering where then man now have its own forecast to now say that in 2026 we are going to
it's projected with a clause that if the single window policy and the Nigeria first is being pushed, then this 3.1% growth is
will be
possible.
achieved.
Yes,
it's possible. Well, let's begin to look at that. But I think man should go beyond this. Man should be more proactive in lobbying members in the Senate, in the House of Representatives, and also the man branches in different states at the subnational level themselves should lobby the state houses of assembly and also lobby the state governors to make them their first
more of
line
enforcement. The Nigerian first policy is more of enforcement. The BPP, public procurement,
Bureau of public procurement.
If they make sure that for whatever purchases they are making, the first, it could be a bid. You could call in these local manufacturers. Well, let's say, for instance, you're purchasing vehicles. Call all the local manufacturers. Let them bid for it. And make sure it goes to them. Now, I understand in some cases, certain things might not readily have the local manufacturing of it in Nigeria. So then you can source for it outside. Let's say, for instance, solar and the rest of them. But most of these things like vehicles, beverages, appliances, certain appliances, you can still get it in Nigeria, which are manufactured in Nigeria. So I believe that it's enforcement. It's rather enforcement. Rather, if you say lobbying is sort of like a softer approach to it. But if you say enforcement, it means this policy has been signed, it has been implemented. Therefore, we should go back.
I use the word lobbying because it's actually going to serve as it's going to be a competitive space where different manufacturers who manufacture similar goods will have to approach the government officials for their own good to be patronized.
Okay.
And also lobbying in the sense that, look, this policy, the Nigerian First policy, we need to be very, very proactive and active in enforcing it. Because if we do not enforce it, it's just going to die the natural death like other economic policies. We talked about cars. In the next 4 years, after election has brought in a new government, the cars of the members in the House of Reps, the Senate,
of course,
both at the federal level and the subnational level, and sometimes I dare say even at the local government level, they are going to be changed.
Renovations will be made.
People get these contracts to carry out these jobs. And organizations that get these contracts are government cronies. They have contacts in the corridors of power that will facilitate the process. And there could be an agreement between the contractor and the people that are facilitating the process of making sure that this organization gets the contract. So if they are going to do that and they feel they are going to make more return in patronizing a German-made car because we need to import it, it's bulletproof. We're going to patronize an American-made car, a Chinese-made car. They're not going to patronize the local car manufacturers that we have here. And that is a loss. So sometimes why the government will make laws or make good policies, sometimes they are the first to subvert the process of using that policy.
I think we should go the Trump way. Let's put tariffs on everything coming in.
The government then the government themselves they are the ones that will put that tariff.
I think we should.
And it's still going to do the same because even when you put the tariff, if they do not resort to buying the locally made cars, they're still going to buy it in a more higher price from the contractor and from the organization, from the manufacturers outside the country. So putting a tariff on that harms your own economy because you're going to spend more of the nation's money to buy it.
That's because they don't want to patronize.
They need to patronize local made cars. They need to make if you're patronizing locally made cars, then it means that you are showing conscious and intentional economic disposition that will promote domestically manufactured cars. And if that is the aim and the goal of the government, then the government will not look back and imposing tariff, huge higher tariff on those cars and those organizations that are importing the cars into the country, to the extent that even if those cars are going to come, their sale is going to crash.
I will still go back to enforcement, because I remember during the former administration.
Who will enforce it?
The former administration, if we did not stop the importation or the outright ban of imported rice, we wouldn't have gotten to the level where we are right now. At the point, we had to stop it. So it was enforcement that got us where we are. That now
this administration, did this administration remove the policy of importing it? The 52 items that were barred from being imported in the previous administration, in this current administration,
government
they've been
continued.
removed.
That's government, which you also rightly said that if another administration comes in, will they follow the laid down blueprint?
It is not about following. Now, in this specific case, we expect we expect some level of probity from the National Assembly, most especially from the committee that has been saddled with the oversight function of checking the activities of the Ministry of Trade and Investment. So they approach the government that, I'm sorry, this cannot happen because we have sufficient local organization that manufactured and produced these goods. 52 items in this list by the previous administration have been barred from importing. They have been considered contraband for them making their ways into this country, either through the ports, through the airports, or through the ship ports, or through the borders. So we can't have them. Now, if you are coming as an administration to remove them, and you still have majority as a party, as a political party in the National Assembly, either in the Senate or in the House of Representatives, they need to know where to distinguish politics and administration. Not only differentiating the difference between politics and administration, but also having it as a government, or as an institution of government that has been saddled with the responsibility to make good laws for the common good and the well-being of Nigerians. Is this policy by removing those 52 items from that list to encourage their import into the country, is it for the economic benefit of Nigerians? If it is not, then the National Assembly should stand up to the administration and say, sorry, we cannot go this direction. And because they have the wherewithal, institutionally and constitutionally, they will have their way. But that will be considered anti-party activity.
All right.
The way politics is.
So industrialization is where we are heading. We are heading for the $1 trillion economy. And for industrialization to work, there has to be some form of nationalism, unity, patriotism, things that would bring about more economic benefit. Because when industrialization kicks off, there will be more jobs, more revenue, more purchasing power. In all, it's a win-win for Nigeria.